Good morning. So I'm going to show you how to set up a watercolor palette chart for traveling or just for your own purposes when you're painting. So you have a palette, something maybe kind of like mine here, with a bunch of different paint in it. Maybe yours came with these tubs already filled. Maybe you're squeezing out tubes and putting them into these little tubs or these little tins. Either way, you need to know what those colors look like at their most intense and at their lightest intensity. So the way you do that, and you also want to label them, okay, so that you know what you have. So you want to create a little chart that's in a layout similar to what you have here on your palette. If your palette's round, your chart's going to be round. If your palette's square like mine, it's going to be square. You know, whatever you have going on. And you want to lay it out in the exact number of colors that you have. So draw it out in pencil first. And then have enough room. I like to do mine in a shape kind of like this so that I have enough room to have dark on the top and then have it fade out to lighter on the bottom. So you don't want it super tiny. These are maybe about, I don't know, 2 inches by an inch or something like that. So anyway, you want to have enough room so that you can see what it looks like as a faded out color. So you can see that I've already started here. I've got all of my colors on the top and I've laid them in right here. There's dark, the most intense color on the top, and it fades out into almost a light color, and that's just simply adding more water, less pigment. And then here on the bottom, I missed this one because I don't like that color. I'm going to replace it with a different color, so I'm going to pull that tin out, put a different color in there. It's an ochre, and it's not my favorite color to use. But then I've got my greens, my cobalt teal, and so on. I will definitely label these, and I'll show you what that looks like shortly after I painted these out. But let me just show you how to do this. I've got a bit of muddy water here, but I'm wetting my brush. I'm going to dampen it off with a cloth, and then I'm going to get into this next color here. This happens to be Antwerp. It's a very dark greenish blue color, very staining color, but gorgeous in some applications and especially in mixes. So I've got some water here. I'm getting a little bit more water, and I'm going to get a lot of color on my brush, as much as I can get on there, okay? So there's plenty of color on that brush. Bring it down into the square, and I'm basically going to paint as dark as I can on the top here, as dark as I can, and make sure it's fairly liquidy. So in other words, it moves on its own. It's not rough. It's not you've got enough paint water on your brush so that it moves across the paper. So I've done it as dark as I can, and now I'm just getting a clear brush, clear water, and I'm bringing this color directly down with just clear water. Now make sure that your paint is not, your paint does not dry. So you have to do this fairly quickly. So basically I'm coming right down into this square, and that's what it looks like as almost dry, almost just water on that color. So as that color fades out, it turns into a nice kind of a teal color on the bottom there. I'm going to do one more for you. This is a cerulean, and sorry about the sun, it's really coming in bright today. It's causing some shadows. So I'm getting a lot of cerulean on my brush, and I'm going to paint the top here, and see it's moving pretty well across the paper. There's a lot on here. It's not bumping like a dry brush. Coming down about halfway, I'm going to rinse my brush off with water and not get any more pigment on it, and basically pull that pigment down with just a damp brush into the bottom part of my rectangle so that I can see what that color looks like as a very faded, washed out color, which is a good application to have in some cases. Okay, so there's my chart, and then pretty soon I'm going to label it, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.